Welcome back to Morning Live. We'll now take a final look at your sport news for today. Well, the Park Lines BMX Tournament took place over the weekend out at Gold Reef City Theme Park, and the tournament was the official 2024 South African BMX Freestyle Championships, including, of course, an opportunity for some to get closer to Olympic qualification. Joining me in studio is Ryan van der Spuy, who organised the Park Lines BMX Tournament, and Vincent Leygonie, 2023 South African champion and 2024 runner-up. And of course, Vincent is currently competing in the Olympic Qualifier Series and will be representing South Africa at the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. What an introduction. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning right here on Sports on Morning Live.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Ryan, let me start with you because you've been involved in the sport of BMX for a very long time. And we look at the fact that it debuted out at the Olympics in 2008. Since then, how would you say you've seen the growth of BMX riding across the globe?
Yeah, it's changed quite a lot since obviously the introduction into Olympics. I mean, riders now have a different thing to ride for. So it's been important for us to be able to put events like this together in South Africa. It gives riders opportunity, like Vin winning SA Champs last year and now being selected to go to Olympics. So I think it's great for the sport. Internationally, it's growing crazy. Riders have really stepped up their game. Obviously, the tricks and competition-wise is incredible, and that's all because of the Olympic status that comes with BMX now.
Yes, and speaking about the status, perhaps Vincent, speak to me about how you find the level of competition internationally versus to what it's looking like on a local scale and how far we are from the rest of the world.
So yeah, there's a definite gap between it all. I mean, when you go to the international scale, you have riders that in their warm-ups, they're doing tricks that we've basically never seen before because we haven't had facilities. And their warm-ups. They're just casually. But that being said, in the same warm-up time, I'm doing stuff that they wouldn't do. So there is definitely a gap in terms of tricks and how the guys ride. It's very different. Here guys are generally more focused on street riding and a little bit more stylish, a little bit more flowy and loose. Where overseas, it's starting to look a lot more like gymnastics. So you're starting to have guys that are trying to do every trick as robotic and perfect as possible. And so obviously when I go there, it's kind of like a breath of fresh air that I've gotten a lot from a lot of riders saying, hey man, you might not have the tricks, but it's refreshing. It's something nice to see. Hey, you've got style, you've got flow, you ride the course completely different to everyone else. So the gap is still quite far, but we are slowly starting to bridge it. I mean, me myself, I'm starting to hybrid up and try and find a way to kind of meet both boxes. But yeah, we're working on it very slowly.
Now, speaking about working on it very slowly, let's talk about the Olympics because we know that Vincent will be representing the African continent. Just one rider representing the entire continent. That's a lot of pressure on him.
It's a fair amount of pressure, I won't lie. But, every guy that goes there is a lot of pressure. I mean, we're at the Olympic Qualifier Series. We've seen 24 of the best, the world's best riders, and I'm a part of that little group of dudes. And I've never seen any of these guys have a drop of sweat at a contest level. Every single one of these guys sweating. The pressure is unreal. You walk through the pits, everyone is serious on their trainers, warming up. You get onto course, you're watching dudes make crazy mistakes that just don't make sense. It's not normal mistakes. Dropping a foot, just airing a quarter is unheard of in a contest at that level, and people are doing it. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Ryan, let's speak about the commercial part of BMX riding. How is it looking? Because we know it's probably not the most inexpensive of sporting codes. How is it looking from a commercial point of view and the backing from corporate?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that needs to grow, especially in South Africa. So for us to be able to put on Park Lines and even watch how Park Lines has developed over the last 4 years since we started. The event started as a small event for something to give back to the riders and let them ride for something, to progress into opening a skate park that had been closed for 7 years, to starting the official commission for BMX Freestyle under Cycling South Africa, hosting the first ever South African Championships that happened last year. And that enabled Vin to go to World Championships last year and obviously qualify for Olympics. And doing another South African Championships this year and taking the event to a venue like Gold Reef City, which is unheard of, and being able to take it to the people so they can actually experience the sport of BMX Freestyle. So I think what needs to happen locally is we needed more facilities for riders to ride. Having events like this and putting it on and showcasing what it's about is, we're starting to get more interest from the corporates and them to understand what the what the sport is about. It's important for us to develop the sport locally, have these events to show that riders can actually ride for something and not just riding for fun. They can actually, become SA champion, go to World Championships and represent South Africa at Olympics. So I think the more events that we put on locally, the more we can showcase the sport to the people and to corporates, and hopefully get more investment into the sport.
And speaking about that investment, I want to speak to you, Vincent, about realistically going out into Paris Olympics 2024. What is your target?
So target for Olympics, I mean, obviously is to get into the main show and get into, top 5 in the world. But my biggest goal out of this whole shebang and everything that we're doing is to show kids that, hey, you can come from any background. I mean, I was working as a diesel mechanic for the longest time, sweating it out, and I was failing high school and doing really bad. And here I am going to the Olympics, which is crazy for riding kiddies bikes. So to show that, and also to kind of show that the BMX scene isn't all just about this robotic one style of riding. You can have style. You can be as loose and hairy and do whatever you want. That's the point. It's freestyle BMX. We're supposed to have fun. So if I can bring the fun back in and kind of just show kids that that's a thing, and hopefully help kind of take the backing we're going to get from the Olympics and being like, cool, we need to do developments. You now have an Olympian that's backing in developments. You have Ryan who's just bought a skate park. So if we can take all of those things and put it together and create a big development push for next year, we can have riders, 2-3 riders at the Olympics next year, which would be incredible. And that would be all starting with this year.
It would be incredible, and I love that you touch on the kids and inspiring them, because Ryan, you can just imagine if a child comes home to their parents and says, I want to be a BMX rider. Not many parents would be so open to that. So what do you then want to say to the parents that are watching right now who have kids that have an interest in BMX riding and want to pursue it as a career, possibly?
Yeah, I think, BMX is an incredible sport. Like Vin mentioned, it's about having fun. It's about riding with your friends. And that's what these guys do at competition. I mean, they all come together. We had riders from all over the country there. The camaraderie between them all is just amazing. So it's something that kids can actually look up to. It gives them something to do, within a sport that's different and more fun, and is an Olympic sport now, So I think it's important to have that growth and development and show kids what it's about, and get more kids involved. And they can actually get in contact with any of us, get in contact with Vin, ride with Vin. Vin can show them like the background of what BMX is. We're looking at putting up more parks around the country, hopefully setting up a kind of like a training facility. And then from there, we can get kids to a venue where they can ride the likes of Vin and the other SA champions or competitors, which I think is important. And they can see what it's about, get kids to be able to concentrate on something different other than whatever they're doing, screen time on phones, in the streets, whatever the case is. I mean, if they're riding BMX, they've got something different and fun to do, and could be Olympian one day.
Indeed. And as I just wrap up with you, Vince, perhaps just talk me through 2024 runabouts in the competition, where else you were the champion before. What would you say was different for you this time around in the experience? Oh,
nothing was different. I was probably riding better than I was riding last year. We just had an unfortunate situation.
Competition's better.
Yeah, well, no, not necessarily. Well, yes, but we're different. Me and Murray are two very different riders. I love the way he rides. I mean, it's like every time I see him, I'm like, dude, it's just a pleasure to be here and ride with you. Unfortunately, our contest got rained out, so we had to go on qualifying results. Qualifying, we take it a bit easy. I don't need to kill myself in qualifying because it's 2 runs count. And unfortunately, my qualifying runs were just second place stuff. So I wouldn't have changed anything.
So you're basically still the champion. Thank you so much. In your heart, you are still the champion. Vincent as well as Ryan talking all things about the BMX Park Lines that took place out at the Gold Reef City theme park. And that's on the note in which we'll wrap up your sport news for today. And we are hoping to hear news that Bafana has finally arrived safely in Nigeria. They do, of course, take on Nigerian World Cup qualifiers tomorrow at 9 p.m.